What is up, everybody? Nice to see you all. It's been a super long time. Man, we got so many people in here already, man. So many people came to show up. So we got Beerman in here. We got Slider, Bobby. We got Mahala Joe, Corey, Varying Viewpoint, Johnny Dunn, Stevo, Mr. Rolex, The Machine. Everybody's here for my first stream back in probably about 8 months now. So as everybody knows, I had a baby. I changed jobs. I had a lot of big life events that kind of came through unexpectedly. So just my priority was a little bit changed up, just also because there was a bit of a bear market too. So just didn't really see a huge need to come up, be making content, but I was always on the sidelines, kind of supporting the project. And damn, we got a big show for you today. So here's my agenda. Here's all the things that I really want to, speak to today. So we got the current news that we'll go through. We'll look at 2023, some of the major accomplishments there. Look at the positives that Veve has. Then we'll get into some of the improvements that they can make. Then we can break down a few of these arguments that we see a lot of people FUD. So are these NFTs? Are these first appearances? What happens if somebody replicates these NFTs? Then we'll get a little bit into some of the hot topics like augmented reality and virtual reality, AI content generation, look at the VeVeVerse, what Veve really needs to accomplish in order for us to have some assets that have the potential to go parabolic in value. Look at some of the Grails, some of the things that I think might have changed, and also some of the other new and upcoming Grails that I didn't necessarily expect. And then I'll give you my overall take, and then what we need in 2024 to, I think, really kind of see some success more than what we had in the past. So really what's going to, take us into this new era of digital technology. How can we capitalize off of, all the stuff going on with the Apple Vision Pro and augmented reality and so forth. So that's the agenda. And so many people still rolling in. So again, Mr. Rolex here, Charles Banks, Hinano, all over the world. I think Hawaii right there. Sup, Gorilla. Welcome back. Bill, thank you, man. Danny to Bill. Oh, yeah, nice to see you, Danny. I appreciate that. Ed's in here. It feels like a 2022 stream layout. Yeah, man. Nothing's really changed that much, So let's get into it, everybody. So before I kind of start this presentation, and I just have to say this, but obviously I'm not a financial advisor, so everything that I talk about today is just for entertainment only, really, and a little bit of education. And I'm not affiliated with Veve or partnered with Veve in any way. But you know what? If Veve wants to partner up with me, they can do that. But at this moment, I've got no affiliation. Okay. So many comments coming in. That's great. Good to see you back. Maritime support you. Thank you, Steve. You sell anything? I did sell some stuff. I always work in cycles, so crypto cycles. And right now we're kind of on the cusp of a new bull cycle coming in. So, look out for probably like this fall when I really think things are going to start to pick up. I came to see the leak slab announcement. Yeah, I know we're going to talk about that today, actually. Yeah. So yeah, great. So let's get into it, right? So current news. So as we saw, there was that huge announcement just recently. And we saw that there's an OMI token update. So I think it was Foster, the new kind of head of the Acomi management there, that put out this new update. And it's looking pretty amazing. So let's actually read it quickly if we can. So as you can see, it says, OMI and utility is one of the key business priorities for 2024. And this is really from community feedback. A lot of people are saying there's not enough utility for the token and there's not enough attachment to Veve. So the biggest thing that I think people want to take away from here is, we're progressing to have plans for OMI to NFT. So I think this is huge because there's so many crypto whales, and even, I'm not a crypto whale, but I have a lot of money in crypto, and I would much rather, spend this money that's just in my, cold water or hot wallet and move that around rather than to, charge my Visa card or have to tell my wife that I'm spending more money from our account. So I feel like this is going to be a huge incentive, and there's a lot of people that have a lot of money there. that has just been sitting there through multiple cycles and things like that. So I really feel like you're just going to convert your ETH to OMI, then you can buy any NFT that you want. I would like to also see NFT to OMI out, so that wouldn't just be like a wire system, but I think this is definitely a good step in the right direction. And then, as you saw as well, there's the bronze MCP tickets. So, these amazing ranks and all these points that people are accumulating are actually now going to have more merit to them. And they're actually going to be put towards something. So that's really, really good. And then I think the other piece too is just improving the accessibility of the token. So, I think the way they framed this was really smart. They didn't say, hey, we're promising new exchanges. They're working to get this token more accessible for more people. So I think that's just smart communication on their end. Sorry, there was just a little connection issue there, but we're back. Yeah, clever man. He's got so many amazing mints. His collection is essentially like a museum. So good to see you here. But yeah, that's big news for OMI. And another thing I want to bring up too is I saw there was like a lot of debate between the edition number and the mint number going around, and I'm actually guilty of this in the past. I'd always say, I just mint, I have this special mint number 38 or whatever, and a lot of people say, well, that's actually the edition number, because as we know, the association on IMX isn't like sequential. So if you have a certain mint, it's obviously not going to be the same edition number. So I think there is just, going forward, I'll try to use edition number a lot more than just that. So I just wanted to bring that up quickly. And I'm trying to keep up with all these comments. It's so good to see everybody. Brown Mama's in the house. Veve Army's here. Slider says, I think this will definitely open up an avenue to buy OMI straight into the app. And I totally agree with that. I think it's really good. And then Jimbo's here too. Wow, so many people come in to support. This is great. So let's go into a little bit of the Lambo stuff, because that was super cool. So let me just see if I can pull it up quickly here, because they actually featured my video, which I was like blown away with, in augmented reality. So I thought that was and I actually did a video on this earlier. I was saying to people, I was like, yeah, I had to practice StreamYard and YouTube streaming again because it's been so long. But let's see if we can pull this up here. And we're going to talk about this as well, guys. We don't even know what this is, this association between comics and crypto and Veve. So we'll talk about that too. How far down is this? There we go. Okay.
There was no shortage of brands that ventured into Web3 during the heat of the bull run in 2021. But did you know that many have still been dipping their toes or continuing to increase their efforts, even in the midst of the bear market? This video will cover some of the most notable ventures into Web3 in the past year or so. When Lambo? In late February 2023, we had none other than Lamborghini launching their latest NFT collection in collaboration with the Veve NFT marketplace. The latest drop includes the Hurricane STO with different rarity traits. The Lambo collectibles can then be displayed in the Veve app's virtual showrooms and shared on its social feeds, and even be viewed and driven on real-world streets via augmented reality features. This isn't Lamborghini's first foray into Web3, having released earlier collections in January 2022, Space-Time Memory, which comprises of a series of 5.
So I thought that was pretty cool. So as you can see there, that was pretty epic, right? So I think one thing that I was thinking about is like the main title for that video is crypto's going mainstream, and then the first example that they're using is a Veve Lamborghini. I mean, come on, like it's not as if that was put closer to the end. That was literally within the first 35 seconds of CoinGecko's opening video clip, right? So I mean, and what did they state? They say this is an NFT, this is Lamborghini, is one of their major ventures, and in my opinion that looked so much more captivating and interesting than the rest of the Lamborghini stuff that they showed. Like if I was seeing that as a consumer, I'd be like, oh my God, I want to be able to, play with the Lamborghini in augmented reality. I'd be thinking about, how does that coincide with the Apple Vision Pro and all that good stuff. So I thought that was like a really kind of a powerful, video. And kudos to Johnny Dunn for actually, telling me about it. So yeah, man. And I'm just going to see some more comments. So we got Pixel Trader in here. We got Mr. Champ, Guru. Yeah, man. So many people. This is awesome. And I just want to talk about some of the drops, right? So obviously we've got, Matt Gondek's big trouble tomorrow, 20 editions of the secret rare. I'm curious to see what people think of the price point of that one. So I think there's only, only 20 editions. So, I know this isn't, huge IP, but I mean, it's Matt Gondek for crying out loud. And if you're in that space, like, he's a huge artist, he's a big figure. So I'm just curious, is that like a 2K plus NFT? Is that like maybe going to be 4 or 5K? I don't know. It's super scarce and I think it's pretty cool. I think it's such a flex. And I just think about like the VeVeVerse and what that could be to showcase that there. Then we've got Juggernaut, and I might actually try to share my screen one more time here. Because one thing that I thought was really cool, and I saw Will feature this, is if you look here, where is it now? Yeah, they basically had.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Sosa, and I'm the artist behind the Juggernaut statue. I want to show you really behind the scenes sneak peek of the process of me sculpting this amazing character. I love the X-Men guys, and I'm just so excited
about this. A lot of
to have been a part of this project and being able to sculpt this awesome villain. I think he ranks up there with, the best.
So yeah, I think that was a really cool one, guys. I don't know about you, but just to kind of see like what some of these artists are doing in the background, I thought was really wise of Veve to kind of showcase that, because so many times we're like, oh, who's really working on this project? What kind of capability do they have? And clearly this person took a lot of time to kind of go through it. So I think that was just really cool on Veve's end to kind of do something different like that. And then we had Betty Boop come out. I mean, I'm a little too young for that generation, but I still think it's a pretty serious one. And then of course we had our boy Miles Morales featured in the Ultimate Comics Spider-Man #1. And my big takeaway from there is it's not that crazy of an expensive comic in real life, even though it's a modern comic. So it's pretty accessible. I think the 9.8 and the highest rarity is like I think it's like $2,000, but there's also the other one. I think it's the rare, which is just black and white. There's only like something like 10 copies in existence. So a lot of people are chasing that one, and a lot of people think it's undervalued because how scarce it is in real life. So now being able to have this on Veve is kind of a cool opportunity. But one thing I want to take away from there is, when you have such a limited edition, secret rare kind of comic come into effect, even though it's not necessarily that popular in real life, a lot of the reasons why it's not that expensive in real life is because there's a lot of supply. And now digitally, there's not that much supply. So now they change it up. So, I'm not sure what's going to be worth more in the future. You might have an exceptionally popular comic like Marvel 1 that has like, 48,000 editions of the common, or you could have a secret rare of not that popular of a comic, but it's only got 150 editions. So like, you just have to start doing your own math and seeing, which case could be better. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. Some obviously some really cool recent drops. I'm definitely going to go for the Matt Gondek one, and I'm just going to read a few more comments. Win Tran is here. Welcome back. Thank you very much, bro. Rolex agrees is a dope comic. Can we get Randy to join you and share some thoughts? Yeah, man. I think I'm definitely going to get some people on here soon. I just really wanted to do like a kind of a big review today, and then going forward, I'm going to go back to doing some interviews with people, so good to see everybody. Miss everybody too. So yeah, it's good to see everyone. So yeah, I mean, I guess we already passed through the drop or the post that Veve made, and once that comic and crypto, keep thinking about or keep posting. So that's the slab, it looks like, of a comic, and it's we don't really know what that is yet, but supposedly the big reveal is tomorrow. So what do you think that means? Is it a partnership between comics and crypto? Is it kind of a Veve exclusive cover? Are they partnered with somebody new? I'm curious to hear people's thoughts. So if you want to drop in the comment section what you think that is. That would be awesome, because then we can all kind of speculate and everything like that. So yeah, so drop some comments in there for that. And then I also did kind of a welcome back Twitter post. I'm not going to get into it, but I put it on about 2 weeks ago. And I just kind of like outlined some of the positives and negatives that around Veve. And I'll get into it in this presentation as well. But one of the biggest things in terms of the negatives is I just thought there was a lot of slow development. You know, a lot of people that have been waiting for things since 2021, like comics and showrooms or those kind of things, or 2022 is, you know, still hasn't materialized. And I'm sure, you know, there's reasons for that. But then on the other hand, we just had Mitch come out, and I think now you can actually do video recordings of your NFTs in augmented reality and be able to showcase them. So that's like one good development thing. But there's just a lot of stuff that has been said that hasn't kind of come to fruition. And I think like that's just it's a pain point for a lot of people, and a lot of people are very leveraged in this project, and they just want to start to see a lot of this stuff come through. So I think that was one thing I said. Another piece that I said was I was talking about here. Let me actually go to the post, but I was talking about saturation, because right now we get more and more drops, and we don't have a ton of new users coming in. And so what that's ultimately going to do is going to result in a downward trajectory. And so, you know, the more things that are dropped and the fewer people that are coming in, well, then obviously there just isn't enough people to hold up the demand of the market. So, you know, eventually people are going to be selling things off or rotating their collection. Now, the MCP is an amazing counterweight to that because a lot of people are going to hold on to these things and then accumulate points and get more things. So we will see if that actually, you know, makes a big difference in the future. So we'll see what happens there. And then the last thing I'm just going to mention there is just the FUD. Like, there's been so much toxicity, not from everybody, but just from some, you know, people. And I think, like I said, like all to you to have constructive criticism and you know, really address some of the things that have been said. But when it comes into like name calling and slander and just, you know, trying to completely ruin somebody else's projects or what they believe in, I just don't think that's right. I think you can have your opinion on it. And again, like, you know, I know that a lot of it has merit as well, but I do think that if you approach it in a way that's professional and you're giving like really solid, constructive criticism, then I think it also Veve is going to be more, you know, better at acknowledging that and then being able to actually implement what was said. So I just think there's a lot of things there, the way that people have kind of approached it. I don't know if that was right, you know? So yeah. So reading a few more comments here. Love to see the OGs coming back. Yeah, it's nice to be back. Steve says it's not a slab, it's a Nakomi hard wallet. That'd be cool. But that would be the way that they get around interoperability. You could put your NFTs but into that hard wallet. Mr. V is here. Glad to see you back in the groove of things, Chad. Thank you, man. Go check out his podcast there with Will Goes Meta. Great show. So happy to see you streaming. Thank you. So yeah, so let's get into this presentation. I know we've already been kind of chatting for a little bit. So that was the current news. So 2023 in review. So obviously, I just really want to acknowledge Silicon Secure. I probably had, I think it must have been at least 11 videos and streams with him. And he was a huge figure for me, a great mentor. And I always say that NFT Pirates is you know, it's his channel, really, because he helped grow this channel tremendously. My most watched video had 30,000 views back in the last cycle. And, you know, I think I like gained like almost 1,000 subscribers, and really I just let him talk. So, you know, I was just really a platform for him to speak his mind, and just amazed, you know, by his insight and knowledge and his collecting experience. And he was just a very successful guy all around, and very like, you know, just amazing at life and friendship and community. So, you know, that also when he passed, it really kind of took a lot out of me. I didn't really have the confidence to come back right away and just start streaming. And again, coupled with a lot of like life events. And, you know, we had a few chats on the phone, you know, a few weeks prior to him passing. And it was really difficult. So, you know, I miss the guy. And then I know that, you know, VV Magic did a huge acknowledgement for him. And if you want to see more, you know, about 2023 in general, we did a great stream on Magic's channel recently where we kind of go in depth about everything that happened in 2023. I just gave you a really kind of a short form of some of the highlights, in my opinion, that happened. So I'll just kind of walk through those now. So obviously we saw, the master collector point ranks, and that was really awesome with points. There's I think over 100 people on the team now, so that obviously they're scaling, and I think it's really important that they do that, especially as the company continues to get bigger. We saw some crafting, which I think is a really cool feature. I think they could be more creative with it, and kind of come up with some really interesting ideas. For instance, like what if you have a Spider-Man and you can craft that with something like a comic, and then you get like a black suit Spider-Man as an example. Like I think there's like just so many things that can come from it. But again, I'm not sure what that's like to like navigate all the big licenses that they have. But I think that was cool. Then we have localization, which I don't know if you remember, Taps Trades always used to discuss how the more languages that we have, the better it's going to be, for the whole ecosystem, because more people can understand and things like that. Push notifications. So I think Dr. Rolex said this was a big deal for him, because he knows if he won an auction or if there's like a drop coming up, just kind of gives you that instant notification. And some of these things like search enhancements, a lot of people, like it's enhanced search, but I really think this is like an expectation. Like your search should always continue to get better. Like searching for an edition number, in my opinion, should have been something that was implemented initially, but nonetheless, it's an improvement. And then, we had some huge drops in 2023, right? We had the Lambo GT350, other Lambos as well. We had Sesame Street, Skywalker, Stan Lee, both the Iron Mans, the original one that was animated, and the Phygital, and then the Lion King too. So there's just like, a few little highlights here, but I just wanted to kind of show that to everybody. And I'm just going to read some of these comments. I like when people just kind of give some comments or questions, and we can just kind of walk through it. So BGN 1962 says, maybe I'm the only one, but I hate the idea of a grading system in digital. It's not like there is a different condition like in real life, and mint number already have a premium built in. Yeah, maybe that's what you think this new announcement from Veve is. Maybe it's pertaining to that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how it works out. I definitely see your point as a digital comic is kind of, something that is, timeless and isn't subject to wear and tear. So it's kind of a different perspective, but maybe there's a play on this. I don't know necessarily how it would work, but I do think it's an interesting comment. And yeah, people just really acknowledging Silicon, he was an inspiration, and whenever he talked, it made me look at the bigger picture, and he is missed. I totally agree. And then, the person says, I really hope that this announcement isn't just a partnership with comics and crypto for grading. It'll make future value not so good. Needs to be one of the big, well-known grading companies. Well, maybe it is, right? We don't really know. Maybe it was, maybe the leadership from comic and crypto, or maybe there's some kind of association. But I do think, that it might be a little more grandiose than people are giving it credit. So we'll see how that plays out. So, I don't really need to, tell everybody all the positives of Veve. We've known this from day one. This is kind of why we, jumped into this space, why we were interested in investing. So, the big thing is that we know there's more IP than any other NFT platform in the world. They've made an incredible amount of partnerships with Disney, Marvel, 007. You name it, they've made those partnerships, and they're really astute and they're big, right? And they have a huge community relative. The reason I put it in brackets is it's relative to other NFT communities. It's not like Facebook's community, but in terms of the NFT world and the digital collectible world, it still is a pretty massive community. And one thing that isn't unique, to Veve is these, really drastic changes in price point, where we saw it go up to like crazy amount of value, and then it dropped down, nearly 95%. For a lot of this stuff. So I know that was, pretty difficult for a lot of people to go through and withstand. But I don't think it was unique to Veve. I think this was like something that we saw across the board generally, because I think NFTs are just a new technology. And there was also so much skepticism after, that whole FTX thing, and then the beginning of the bear market, where people were just, completely shitting on NFTs, and it was just funny, right? So there's still so many things that are going for such high prices still within the app that have held their value, not only on Veve but across the board. I think everybody just saw like Pudgy Penguins or something is the same price as a Bitcoin. I need to look more into that, but I think it's like 17 or 18 ETH or something like that. So clearly there's still demand. The other piece there too is there's countless historical assets on Veve, right? I mean, a lot of some of the craziest IP, like, AF-15, some of the biggest comics, Marvel 1, some of the biggest characters, superheroes, and I mean, these are just a few verticals. So, just some crazy historical assets from the real world. Showrooms and augmented reality, they really were one of the initial starters there, but I really hope that they kind of take that position and are able to amplify it and really kind of get better at doing augmented reality. And I hope there's some kind of connection with the Apple Vision Pro if those things can be displayed. I don't know how it's going to work, and I think there's still a lot of time to go, but I would like to see a connection there. High quality design. So like for the most part, there's been a few funny looking NFTs on Veve, but for the most part, like Miles Morales, Secret Rare, Lambo, like all these things look crazy good, in augmented reality and on your app, and they're really cool to showcase to friends and things like that. Built for the masses, right? I mean, it's definitely the most accessible app in the world. You literally download it on your phone, you click, buy now, and all of a sudden you have an NFT. I mean, there's not any other platform that's that accessible. I mean, now maybe like Cryptoys and other things are like implementing the same kind of strategies, but in terms of like something that's super easy to do and show up for a drop, I just think it's really wise. And then on top of that, the relatability, like everybody knows all these characters, like Encanto even, or like the Lion King, and there's just so much on Veve now that even when I was looking at the Grails, it's so difficult to do because there's just so much there. And then insane drops, right? We're seeing more emphasis on the phygital now, that whole Iron Man thing. We saw that Harry Potter thing happen with Funko, not on Veve, but elsewhere. But I think it had over $500,000 in revenue or something like that. And then the big thing too on Veve is like you could literally win the lottery, right? Every time you show up for a drop, like tomorrow, somebody's going to get, one of 20 of the Matt Gondak's Big Trouble. Like somebody's going to make at least $1,000 tomorrow. It's definitely probably not going to be me. I could be hopeful, but somebody's going to do good. And that's also the reason that, I like to stay around Veve is because, at least every once in 2 or 3 months, I'll get something good on a drop that like may do a 5 to 10x in value, right? Or at least a 2x, right? So it is, just on a lot of those factors alone, there are a lot of positives. And I'm just going to take some more questions here. So somebody says, Steve Davenport says, once AR comes mainstream, renting NFTs from Veve will be crazy. And this is where I've got this as another point in this conversation. But I really do think that that's where the bread and butter is going to be. Like when you can put your comics and stuff into augmented reality, and that Apple Vision Pro, people are using that more when it's obviously a lot less expensive and it's more mainstream. It's going to be the coolest thing. Like you'll be on the GO train going to work, or you'll be in a taxi, or you'll be on the flight and you'll be like reading a comic. You don't have to bring like a suitcase of fucking comics in your bag. You could literally just open your app and go through 100+ comics if you want to, and be able to zoom in, to scale them, to focus in on different parts, so there's just a lot there that was that's really important. Another comment about Silicon, he was an awesome guy and will be missed. Really hate asking this, but what happens to his massive collection of Todds? I'm not sure. I really don't know what happened. I mean, put it this way, I didn't get any, and I think I think there's like a plan in place. I'm hoping that it all went to his family. And hopefully they're in a safe place. But I don't know his situation enough. I was, a good cyber friend to Silicon, but I wasn't family. So that's kind of his own personal thing there. Some Adro Delro says, only thing that would make me hyped about the slabs is if it requires burning multiple comics for a slab, or maybe using MCP points. Man, that would be dope. I'm all about burning, comics and stuff and different NFTs. And somebody says, I'd prefer no grading, but a counter showing total wallet transfers. Will says, my man Chad, welcome back. I can't stay long. I just want to stop by and say hi. Do more videos, please. Thank you, bro. I definitely will, man. NYCC taught me that people literally bring suitcases of comics with them to get signatures and show them off. Yeah. So, hey, Steve, so imagine when that's all digital and you can do that same thing, right? Common gang. Yeah, Ed, we're usually common gangs, man. So yeah, so that's kind of the positives, right? And I think that goes without saying. Everybody, knows the positive. Maybe I'll just make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. So here's some of the improvements that I'm hoping we see. I don't know the timeline, but a lot of people are skeptical. It's like all these things are like locked in an app, right? Even though there is on-chain or blockchain data to support that these are NFTs and they're on MX or whatever, they're still locked into an app. And I think it would be cool if there was more interoperability given, or just some more discussions about that, or even if it was like interoperability within certain ecosystems. So again, I think there's a lot there because there's a lot of licenses and there's a lot of things that are overlapping, and I can't pretend to know what's going on behind closed doors. But I do think that, like, some of the language that came out and said, oh, these will be interoperable, I think a lot of people are really excited about that. I'm not sure what that means in terms of value. If all of a sudden these are going to become more valuable or mainstream. But I do think that it would be, important over time, especially if there was, different metaverses and things that we wanted to have, interchangeability between. And I just think that, like, there should still be a critical factor for them to focus on. Another big thing is, the slow development or missed deadlines. And again, there's a series of things that we could discuss here. But I do think that, like, there's a few things. Like, I know that comics in showrooms was one. I know that exchanges for Omi was another. I know that by now we I think from one of the posts I saw, we could be in version 4 of the VeVeVerse, looking at potential gamification and things like that. So, people get excited, and I think the learning here from Veve and Akomi is not to put these on such not to put a timestamp on a lot of this stuff, is to be like, hey, we're working on this. This is kind of a progression. But I do think it's vital that a lot of these big things get done this year, especially like the VeVeVerse. I think with augmented reality, with Apple Vision Pro, with AI and the metaverse kind of all being some of the narratives for this upcoming bull cycle, like I think you really need a product there. Like, even if it's preliminary, even if it's literally just a showroom or advanced showroom where, like, your friends can come in, because I think really when I started to conceptualize what an open world concept would look like on Veve, I was like, man, imagine everybody, every one of these users can put in all of their collectibles. Imagine how much processing power is going to be needed to, friggin' be able to showcase 1,000 waltz and showcase, 50,000 Spider-Mans and have all these things everywhere, people interacting with them. I think it's a huge daunting task. And I've even been more open if, like, Veve wanted to partner, with somebody on that, or look at, like, different ways that, someone else can take burden off of them in certain components. So so I think that that's a big one there. Saturation, again, is another, critical thing. Is, like, I think that MCP system, although it's close, needs to be up and running, because again, there's just so much going on in terms of the amount of, NFTs on Veve. And I think the burning would be a huge component to really get rid of a lot of that stuff too. So that way we can, see people burn things and then those items getting more scarce. Again, I don't know what the incentive would be for burning, maybe if it, other than like crafting, but I mean, it'd be amazing if you can burn things and then you get the Omi. I know that's a pipe dream, but I just think, like, really kind of reducing a lot of these edition sizes. I think we're over like 10 million editions of different NFTs on Veve, which is quite a lot, right? And then communication, I think, is a huge one. Like, one of the biggest points I want to make, and it was a few people that notified me of this, is, the ability for Veve to communicate something from a centralized location. Because I think in the past we've just we get things everywhere. Oh, is it going to be on Discord? Is it going to be on Twitter? Are we going to get something like on Instagram, or like, is David going to retweet something or give us some kind of insight? Like, and then pretty much some of the winners in this space that are able to see these things early is just because they happen to be on the right platform. They happen to be on Spaces when something was brought up. So I really think Veve needs to focus on more of the centralization and unifying their approach when it comes to communication and getting things out in a really kind of diligent way. And like I said before, like, I think Noah, back in the day when he used to work for Veve, I think he was one of the employees, he said something and then everybody was like, chasing him for more information. And then it was a few hours later that Veve came out and confirmed or denied what was said. So I just think that's a big piece. And then, like, little things like just being very clear on stuff. Like, I remember when we had the transition to IMX and all the edition numbers, everybody was thinking that it was going to be sequential mints. So for instance, if you minted the number 41 Rizzo as an example, then all of a sudden it would be the same thing on the blockchain. But I think everybody learned pretty quickly that would be exceptionally difficult to do because there's a few things there. But I just think that's an important piece. And OMI utility, and it's funny, I had this in my presentation, then I saw the whole roadmap here today and some of the progress. So I think it's looking bright. There's some sparks. I'm not going to get too excited. There's some sparks there. And obviously we have Foster, who, you know, big brain, big impact kind of guys. So I'm a really big fan of him. And I think, you know, he holds a lot of OMI before he joined the team. He probably holds even more now. So I think there's a massive incentive there, you know, not only because he loves the project, but I think there's just a lot to do, and it could have some huge effects. So, and I think the big thing to there too, it's deflationary. So, you know, if they can get back some of those things, how about how the token can be burned over time, then all of a sudden, you know, people's money can increase that way too. So, so that's another thing. And then the last thing I'll leave you with in terms of the improvements is just additional leadership. I think, you know, we got Dan and David, they're amazing people, but the project's massive. It's absolutely gigantic. You know, if you're going to put in a VeVeVerse as an example, there should be like a dedicated VeVeVerse CEO as an example, that's just taking on that component. You know, maybe David, you could just be the chief collecting officer and do all that stuff. Maybe, you know, Dan's going to focus on partnerships. I just think it's so massive now, that I really think, like, you know, with added brain, you know, with some more added brains, it could really even do better and greater things, you know? And again, I'm not going to pretend like I know how to run a $1 billion company. But I do think that there's still a lot of room for improvement on that end of thing too. So that's just me, you know, having 8 months off and just coming back to this and just approaching it from more of a bird's eye perspective. So let me kind of just get back to this smaller screen. So yeah, a lot of people still talking here. I want that recent SR Lambo. Yes, that is legit. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Ryan getting dismissed? Sucks, but had to be done. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think there's you know, as much as he might have, you know, changed, and every time I spoke with him, I thought he was a great guy. But you know, seeing that history and stuff, it obviously is kind of a stain to your reputation. And I think, like, you know, I don't think there was any other choice. Some of the things that were said there were really kind of difficult to see, even for me. So I think that's all I'll comment on there, but I definitely think, you know, Veve made the right choice there. And it was really kind of a sad thing to see. I really didn't expect that from him. So, yeah, that's my thoughts there. Are these NFTs? So now we're kind of getting into some of the, you know, the bulk of what I wanted to talk about. A lot of FUD all over the place. You know, are these NFTs? Are they not? You know, first of all, let's just start off. I mean, how many times have Disney, you know, CoinGecko, even Marvel, all said that these were their first ever NFTs? I mean, there's Twitter posts, there's press articles, all these different things. And if you look at the definition of an NFT, it says they're unique cryptographic tokens that exist on a blockchain and cannot be replicated. So as we know, you know, even though Veve is kind of, you know, recording all that stuff on a blockchain on a layer 2 and IMX in batches, you know, it's still permanently encoded. So there is a timestamp there, which to me is like verification that, you know, this was minted before another type of NFT. And I think this is where I get excited about things like first appearances and things. I'm going to get into it. Like, I know there was some discussion about GoChain. I think that's in my next slide, but we'll talk about that too. And like I said, all major marketing, right, calls these NFTs. I mean, there's not one outlet. I mean, CoinGecko literally started off their video, like I showed you about Lambo, saying like, crypto is going mainstream. Let's look at Lamborghini and Veve NFTs. That was like their first thing they say. So, I mean, you know, clearly they're not going to jeopardize their reputation as well by coming out and saying something like that. So I think that what my ultimate consensus is that these are NFTs, but with like limited functionality at the moment. And I think, you know, it does make a lot of sense because the IP is so precious and it's so grand that there's probably a lot of safeguarding there. And the other piece to this is, like, obviously they're centralized, they're on an app. So, you know, it would suck even for me if like something was misinterpreted and my account got locked. Like, I don't like a lot of this stuff. The reason I like crypto is because it was like decentralized. So I do think they're NFTs, but I think there's still, you know, some work to be done to make these, you know, more interoperable and things like that. But I think that arguments kind of should be put to bed in terms of, are these NFTs? Yeah, they're encoded, but yeah. So again, I'm not a blockchain expert. I'm not going to speak like I know everything here, but I do think there's enough evidence there for you to kind of take away and be like, okay, I think I get it. You know, Sleeping is in the house, man. Glad to see you. Good to see you, bro. That's amazing. Like Sleeping, you know, if you haven't, I probably everybody here follows Sleeping, but if you haven't yet, go subscribe to his channel. He is an amazing guy, and just knows so much about, you know, the world of comics, and yeah, big mentor for me too. Like Alfred says, Dan and David are like the guys from Nintendo. They don't release anything till it's right. Just be patient, people. That's a good point, Steve. You know, it reminds me of Elon Musk, right? And I think Randy always brings this up, but took them 5 years, man, to like come up with the Tesla truck, and they were taking orders way back in the day because they're just waiting to perfect it. So, you know, maybe they don't really have a whole rush or a big rush for this stuff because they know what they're sitting on. Fro Comey's in here. He says, yo, glad to see you live streaming again, brother. Let's go. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. So let's get into first appearances now. So here's one thing that a lot of people talk about. And I actually saw a video, and I wish I could tell you who it was that said this, but he says something really interesting. He's like, what's going to happen if, for instance, like, let's just take the Amazing Fantasy 15, right? What happens if the highest graded comic of AF15 gets like minted on the blockchain, and then people then can buy a token within the AF15, you know, and actually be able to have like a slice of that. And there was a few things that I thought about. I was like, it was interesting to hear his perspective. And he's like, what would that do for things on Veve, like the AF15, you know? And I think like the big thing is like, you know, first of all, like you can't really show it off. Like, so imagine being in the VeVeVerse or a metaverse and being like, hey, look, I have, you know, 1/900th of the AF15. I have a percentage allocation of 0.00 whatever, right? I think it would just look silly. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I think you miss out on the augmented reality function. And I think you're trying to like, you know, find a way to make the physical make a lot of sense. Now, I do see this. If you saw the stream with Comics and Crypto, you know, Spencer talked about that with tokenization of like Pokemon cards, and how, you know, that's still, and I put it this way. I do think it'll be an avenue and be a part of the ecosystem, but I definitely don't think it would overshine or replace some of the stuff that's happened on VZ, right? So yeah, and I think like, again, the security of it. Imagine all of a sudden like that thing that is in the physical world that's like a 9.6 AF15, you know, gets broken or gets stolen, and then you're holding this token that is now connected to zero, right? There's so much there that I still think it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right? And so, you know, even though like AF15, I know I'm just using, you know, a popular comic as an example, but even though AF15 in the real world will likely always hold more, you know, like value than a digital, I still don't think it's going to completely annihilate the importance of some of these ones that are now on the blockchain. I'll give you a few reasons for that. So the first thing is that they're so scarce, right? That's the reason there's so much money. Like an AF15 at a high grade is so hard to come by. You know, you have to know people, then you have to have a lot of money. And then on top of that, like, you know, there's just so much there that you if you're a normal person, you'll never get it, right? And this is where Stan Lee actually envisioned Spider-Man. Like, this is where he created, he put it on paper, and then that was printed. So that's why it's so important. So, you know, even though that original is going to hold more of a use case and be more important, I do think that like with an NFT and with being the first time that's ever minted on the blockchain on Veve in a way that's pristine, timeless, and, you know, looks like a 10.0 because it's literally flawless and there's only 250 editions, you know, I do think that's still super important and still has a lot of weight, especially as we get more into the digital revolution here, more into these metaverses, you know, which could take another 5 to 10 years until people are actually in there. But that's kind of my take on it, right? Some of the kind of controversy there. Now, another thing I wanted to just mention here is like IMX, you know, we transitioned from GoChain, I believe, to IMX, all of the Veve assets back in December of 2021. And a lot of controversy about like what GoChain held. So like, for instance, like, you know, even though Todd came out, I think it was like February, or I forget exactly. It could be like October 2020 or something like that. Or 2019, sorry. That like, we just don't know how much was recorded, right? And so like, I just look at IMX for a lot of the stuff as like that security, because I could go back. So again, people are going to have to dive into that, what that all means. But I do think it's important to think about, especially if you're putting like a lot of money into the app. Yeah. And so, and another big thing that's, you know, Silicon Secure always says, was first of anything does well in all forms of collecting. This is not new to Veve. This is, you know, low mint numbers and first editions and all that crap. Like this goes in every car, everybody that collects cards, everybody that collects coins, you know, everybody that collects comics. Like this is something that, you know, humans have probably, you know, incentivized since day one, right? So again, so first appearance, that's kind of some of the stuff that I think, you know, I wanted to talk about. And then the other big thing too is like, you know, ASM 252. So even though the first appearance of ASM 252 in the real world, there's like a lot of editions, but on Veve, like the secret rare only has like 30 something friggin' editions. So again, like you got to start thinking about that. And I think Sleeping Comics on VeVeRank.com does a good job of talking about the importance of scarcity as well. You know, even if the comic is only like mildly popular or kind of in the mid range of being popular, because again, it's just going to hold a lot of weight, right? Because it's going to be such a scarce item. And a lot of times why physical comics are so valuable is because of the scarcity mixed with the popularity. So anyways, I was kind of ranting there, but I do think it was kind of important context. Yeah, so Sleeping's like, good to see you all. And then Chris is, hey, Chris Severs is here. So he goes, hey, Chad and friends, let's go. So Chris is another huge collector, man, great guy. And yeah, he writes some amazing articles. So give him a follow on Twitter. And we also got the legend himself, My Collectibles. Great to see you. Great to see you too, dude. You're doing so much amazing things. You're the most consistent guy I know. And you're just amazing at what you do. So thank you, bro. And if you haven't done so already, give this stream a like, guys. This is my first stream back, and I want to make more content for you guys and do it in a kind of a comprehensive, fun way. So yeah, thanks for doing that. And another thing I wanted to say here is like, can these assets be replicated? So like, let's just say Disney, or Marvel, let's say, partners with another company, even though they're literally being featured at all the Comic Cons and everything with Veve. But let's just say hypothetically that happens, where Marvel says, you know what, screw you, Veve. We're going to take another whole trajectory here with another company and do our NFTs that are interoperable there. So let's just say they did that, right? Let's say they redid Marvel #1 SR on a different platform, right? First of all, what that's going to do is going to damage the relationship with most of their loyal customers here. People that have literally been, you know, holding on to these things through the bear market, through huge price drops, that really believe in the future of this. And, you know, even if they did a spin-off, then that's going to dilute the value of both of those things. So if you have two Marvel 1 SRs, one on Veve and one on a new platform, you know, people are going to be upset. They're going to be like, well, there's going to be arguments. Well, no, this is the first. Well, no, this was finally interoperable, whatever, right? And so what they're going to do is they're then going to upset their new collectors in the process as well. And so what I'm saying here is that, you know, even though these assets aren't interoperable, don't you think that there would be more of a likelihood that they would become interoperable than for some new things to be minted on a new platform? Like, I feel like they would do their best to kind of reposition a lot of these assets than to, you know, kibosh a lot of this development. So that's why I say, like, does Veve win by default, you know? Did the stream just start? I started at 9 p.m. ET, so I'm 50 minutes in, my man. Yo, Mr. Collections 31, what's up, brother? The biggest thing for Veve in the future is to be ready for mass adoption when it comes. The app needs to be running great and able to handle all those people. These small steps will add up eventually. That's such a nice comment there, Slider. You know, and I hope more people kind of like, if you have ideas or things that you want to share, like, these are just my thoughts, but I will put your comments up there, you know, even if it's FUD, right? We want to address a lot of this stuff and do so in a way that's kind of, you know, we can put our mind to this. So I think that's an important thing, right? Like, when people come in, they want to make sure it's running smoothly. You know, everything has to work, you know. So I do think that's an important piece, because as soon as something's not smooth, or it's not, you know, fully scalable, or it's not very holistic, then, you know, people are going to get kind of upset and be like, well, this isn't really a perfected product yet, right? So I agree with that. That's a good point. Mr. Collections, yo, what's up, man? Corey's here. Such a great voice in person. So happy to have you back, Chad. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. It's good to be here. I think I said this before, but Corey actually sent me a Batman Who Laughs like really cool statue in the mail, and I've always got that on display. This is the office, you know. This is where my wife and I are, so I can't have any of that stuff here, but it's in a special place. Thank you, bro. Okay, so let's get into some AR and VR stuff. So let me actually go back to my Twitter here, because there was something that I really wanted to showcase. that I thought was like super cool. And let's see if we can do it, because I just thought it was crazy cool. I think it was about like F1, and I'll actually see if I can just play it. Yeah, it was like F1 and augmented reality. And I just wanted to show it because it gives everybody an example of where like AR can go. Okay, so this is who it was. Veve Meister posted this. So let's see if I can share this quick. Okay, yeah, it's sharing. Perfect. Okay, so let me just put the
required for any of these emerging technologies. I spent my career blending visual
this is
effects and
F1,
user
guys.
experience to create real and fictional technologies. And I'm also a giant F1 freak. I love that Formula One is this tech-centric competition. I believe it should be the benchmark for the way we combine sports and technology. The Apple Vision Pro allows for all kinds of new experiences, but so far, most of the things I've seen emphasize content in Windows, and I want to see something that goes beyond that. Sure, I want to put windows and data everywhere, but you can kind of already do this with the awesome multi-viewer app. But what if I really took advantage of both my physical viewing
So look,
space and
you're
the
literally putting
geography
an
of the event
F1
itself?
race on your
There's
coffee
something
table
so
in front of you in
appealing about an
augmented reality.
architectural model, but alive and in perfect sync with a reality unfolding thousands of miles away. So back in 2018, I actually submitted this concept to Formula One and was a finalist for the F1 Innovation Prize. It culminated in a weekend at the Austin Grand Prix that I will remember on my deathbed. Today, we've evolved this concept. Give me a God's eye view of the entire circuit right on my coffee table. I can glance back and forth between the broadcast and this miniature slice of reality, see every driver's precise position, compare racing lines, and most of all, understand the geography of the track, something that's almost impossible to convey on TV. Could use subtle eye tracking to place a telekinetic emphasis on the data that I'm most interested in, or let me overlay various visualizations on this 3D track. Maybe you could even go full Tony Stark with it. Now, we've seen similar concepts, but they're working under huge limitations, like replays that have to blend multiple camera feeds before being shown, or a live Toy Story NFL game using only approximate.
So I think that kind of gives you enough insight to kind of like make some analysis of your own there. But like, they're literally bringing F1 to augmented reality. And so you're not just watching your TV, you're literally seeing the whole track. You're looking at different racers on the track. They're, comparing speeds and everything. You could literally, as your eye zooms in on a certain car, it gives all the data. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. And that's probably like 5 years away where that's going to be like integrated, and like, you're no longer just going to be watching TV. You're going to be literally watching F1. You're going to be part of F1. You're going to be standing on top of F1. And so what I'm saying here is like, is it that much of a leap to then say we're going to have all of these, NFTs displayed around your house, and you can scale them and put them in certain places? And when augmented reality, becomes more mainstream, that's how I think this stuff is really going to pop, because you're going to look at something like, the Todd Batman and be like, hey, like this was the, 22nd minted NFT ever on Veve. It's the first appearance of, Batman ever to bring to the blockchain, all these different things. You can like, showcase this to your friends, right? And I think that's going to be a way in the future that we show off art and those things. It's going to be through that. And then people aren't going to have any clutter in their homes. On top of that, you can have different settings. So if you wanted it to be Halloween, if you wanted it to be Christmas, like there's a lot of these different added features that you can bring into life. So that's what I wanted to say there. Congrats on the baby. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, she's such a cutie. I don't know if you heard her crying earlier, but yeah, she's a lot of fun. And yeah, so another big thing too, like with virtual reality, which I'm a little less excited about because I've already seen what like a Meta Quest and things can do. It's amazing, but I do think like AR, like mixing in your reality with virtual reality in a sense, and like putting those two combined, are just gonna add for so much more of an immersive experience. And everything's just going to be able to be a lot more seamless and smooth. And so I really think that's like where the future of this stuff can go. So Steve, kind of comments and he says, imagine standing behind the goalie when he gets scored on. Like, imagine being in the end zone for a touchdown. Like, think about how cool that is, right? Like you said, man, you could literally put on your whole headset and be like right beside the running back as he gets like clotheslined by some huge offensive lineman. Or you can be like right beside Cristiano Ronaldo as he's about to score a goal top left. Like this is the future. And this stuff is coming. And so I really think, even not, besides Veve, like really this should be where your focus is on, and investments and and things like that, because I really do think this is going to take the world by storm. And then Beerman 2003 says, I'm still waiting for my drivable TX. That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so that's some cool stuff there. And then in the future, it'll be like Star Wars, right? It'll be like the hologram kind of stuff. So, you won't need some kind of like huge headset. It will kind of be immersive. And whether that comes from like I don't know, a necklace, a watch, or if it's something that's built into a wall, I don't know how it's going to work, but that is the future. So, and I really think Veve should really capitalize on this opportunity, right? Like, I mean, they've been doing augmented reality for a long time. The collectibles look fantastic. And, whether that's just kind of like, some teasing or just kind of, writing on, Apple Vision Pro's Twitter space and just showing some of the stuff that we can already do. But maybe they're saving this. Maybe there's going to be some kind of integration there. I don't know, but yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, so I want to read some of this stuff. These are some great comments. So Slider says, imagine looking through the eyes of your favorite artist while they're on stage playing to a massive stadium. Yeah, it's so true. How cool is that, right? What's crazy? We're all saying one day we will see all Veve NFTs in a metaverse with AR tech only 3 years ago, and it's literally here right now, which is insane. That is so funny. And just to talk about FUD, Mo Collections is like, the last 2 years ago, people were saying like the headset will never come. It's like 10 years out. Some people were saying like 15 years out. And it was stupid for us even to think of imagining a metaverse or think of imagining this stuff in augmented reality. Like, it was so far away. And like you said, here we are 2 years later, and it's at your doorstep now. And it's coming. Like, whether you like it or not, it's almost here, right? Corey says, when VeVeVerse goes live, I'll suggest the Veve marketplace be available in it. People only have so much time in the day. If community is in Veve, won't be active buying, selling. Just a thought. Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's like such a good point. Like, you won't really come up for fresh air. Like, you'll be so immersed in doing things in the VeVeVerse that, you almost want to walk into a store and see all the inventory. So that's an interesting concept and point you make there. And another thing that Mo Collection says, the public doesn't know what they want yet, but it is coming with AR. I totally agree with you. That's where my money is. And, everyone's talking about the AI being the narrative for this upcoming bull cycle, or even gaming, I think, is kind of the second narrative, or depend, but like, that's kind of what I'm seeing. But I really think AR and like metaverse, even though that was kind of the buzz of the last bull cycle, like, I think just because of the involvement in tech, that could be a dark horse in the upcoming bull cycle on the narrative there. So I'm really kind of keeping my, my nose to the ground, and really trying to kind of see all the different developments on Twitter or X rather. And so, yeah. D1 and only says, thanks for the stream, Chad. So good to have you back. So good to be here. Thank you. And thanks for all the gifts you sent me from Hawaii. I really appreciate it. Veve has come a long way. Remember when there was no marketplace or even a Veve feed? It's true. Like, we give them so much crap, but they have come a long way. Got my Apple Vision Pro order in. I'll get it next Friday. Can't wait. Damn, dude. That is unbelievable. Canadian, that's $5,000. So for you, I think it's 3,500. So, with tax, I'm looking at like 5,600 or something. So I wanted to, but I just didn't have the capital for that. I'd rather put it on a trip or something, but I'm definitely jealous. Wintran says that Disney walking holoduck technology looks promising. Yeah, I could pull it up on Twitter, but I just don't know if I've got anywhere near. But somebody was posting a lot about that recently. Like you said, where I think it's like on the Disney app or something, where people were like in kind of a Star Wars racing car and looking around, and like, and everyone that has the Apple Vision Pro is just saying how like immersive the experience is, and like just how much this is going to revolutionize things. Like, honestly, that investment there from Coolmo, just to be able to see it firsthand and see what's happening, is going to give you so much insight as to where kind of the world is headed, especially when it comes from Apple, which is like, a multi-trillion-dollar company. Literally, I think it's only second to Microsoft in the entire world of companies. So like, for them to come up with something that sophisticated, you're really going to be able to see where the trajectory is, because I think there's like only 80,000 that were given out. So I think just, going back to you, man, super wise. And you'll really kind of start to see what this means. And I do think like metaverse AR is going to like take over the world. Like I think in 5-10 years, you're going to be going to work in the metaverse, you know? Victor says, you know, my favorite Canadian. Thanks, bro. Oh, and I think I know what Wintran means here. So the Disney walking holodoc or holodeck is the thing that like looks like a treadmill, but you can walk in any direction. And so like if you're running in a certain direction, it like basically moves according to that. So I guess it has like sensors that is able to sense your position. And this is where people like might be able to start working out running in the metaverse, might be being able to do some crazy stuff in the metaverse, right? Or even in gaming, you know, gaming with like a gun in your hand and like you're running and you're legit, like, you know, it's just really cool. And it's probably built in a way that like if you fall or trip that there's like enough padding where it really wouldn't do a lot of damage. But yeah, the holodeck thing is really, really cool. So I agree. I know what you're talking about now. But yeah, if you haven't seen that yet, like maybe I'll just like see if I can find that quickly on Twitter here while we're all chatting, because I do think it's too cool. Okay, yeah, look at that. I already found it. That's easy then. Okay, so let's blow this up here.
Of it. So I can walk on this omnidirectional floor in any direction I want. It will automatically do whatever it needs to have me stay on the floor. And what's amazing about this is multiple people can be on it and all walking independently. They can walk in virtual reality and so many other things. Theatrical stages that might have these embedded in them so that dancers can do amazing moves. Not me, but really good dancers. So there's just so many applications for this type of technology.
Crazy.
And we don't know yet where it will be used.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Win. That's sick. That's so crazy.
We call it the holotile floor, and it's a very special.
It's hard to believe, right? In a way, like that's there. Yeah, pretty amazing. So many nice comments. Murph says, I can imagine adding NFTs to my house like during Christmas for another layout showcasing. You got it, man. This is the future. And like, this is why I'm still so bullish on Veve, despite a lot of the slow trajectory, is because of the assets that they hold and the IP that they have. Like these things are literally, you know, some of the most amazing historical artifacts that we have in the world that are now being recreated and imagined in a future digital way. Right. And so like, I just think like, it's going to be such a flex in the future to showcase like an AF-15 or a Miles Morales SR or a Spider-Man Secret Rare, anything that you want to show, a Lamborghini that's limited to 300 editions in your parking lot. Like there's just so much coming, man. Imagine never have to put up or take down Christmas decorations. Exactly. And then imagine how that then expands out of your home into like things like a mall or a museum, right? Imagine walking through a digital museum where they're literally taking items, you know, like whether it be Bored Apes or any of these things, right? Like that are literally, you know, in our world now, like even again, a lot of the Veve items or whatever, right? A lot of these NFT collections, okay? You're in a museum. This stuff is then showcased everywhere. The people that hold these assets are then, you know, giving it to the museums. They're renting it out to them as an example. And then they have different types of collections, just like how museums have like, you know, different exhibitions or things like that. Like this is what my idea was way back in the day and everyone was laughing. And now it seems a lot more real, right? So I love what you say there, Beer Man. You know, imagine never having to put them up or take them down. Do you have any Omi? Yeah, man, I got some Omi, you know, nothing crazy, but I think we saw a little bit of a pump today. So, you know, I'm happy at least there's some sparks there. Most undervalued piece in the app. My pick would be Patrick Hugh pieces. They're extremely cheap and low around, and this piece go for like 10 to 20,000 and above. Yeah, I don't know enough about that, but I do want to call out a lot of the artists in the app and like such limited edition runs. And I do think like, especially when we see like the VeVeVerse and stuff, how crazy cool is it going to be to flex these limited edition pieces on your, you know, on your wall and those kind of things. So I do think you're right, man. Like I think there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things in my opinion that can be, you know, give a second eye to and kind of think about what the future might hold there. So yeah. Slider says Veve leaderboard and the VeVeVerse would be cool in the sky so everyone can see right when you walk out of your house. That would be so sick. And And how cool would it be for just people to continue to compete? You look up and then you just see like Dr. Profit or King Mavs or, Clever or like any of these guys just like, holding in the air. And what a testament to continue to work harder and buy more shit, So yeah, that's cool. Augmented reality headset need to evolve to an augmented reality projector in the house. Oh, that's a cool idea. Ability to bring a 3D image of your family member in the room so you can sit down and have a meal. That is amazing. And this is a bit of a tangent, but I, imagine in the future where let's just say there's a way that you can encode, one of your family members' brains and then have an augmented reality projection of them and then be able to like, inject the brain, so to speak, into that NFT or augmented reality version, and then you're able to kind of sit there with your dad or whoever it is, even though it's not going to be obviously the full thing. It'll still give you a lot of, I think, calming or calmness and tranquility to be able to kind of see somebody in that way after they pass, right? So I mean, there's just so much coming. There's too much coming. We're really, like I said, it's kind of crazy. Like we're at an evolution where we might be cyborgs in the next 20 to 50 years, right? I mean, my daughter is going to come into the era of like, hey, at 40 years old, do you want to get a new heart? Like, this is our limited edition carbon fiber. This heart will never skip a beat on you, kind of thing, So, yeah. Steve again, going to the mall to sit on Santa's knee will be epic in AR for your kids. Yeah, let's keep that. Hopefully, let's keep that concept PG though, right? Bill's given some DAP signs. So yeah, so that's kind of that was a little fun discussion there on AR VR. This is kind of a brief point, but I think it's important. So we're also in the age of AI content generation, meaning that you can type something in to kind of a chat box, and then it spews out an image or a movie or something like that for you, and you literally can do it by just text or by your voice, right? And there's something else right now that just came out called a large action model. It's called like a Rabbit R1, I think. And what this means is that chat GPT can give you answers and things like that, but it can't perform things for you. So if you said to chat GPT, can you book me a trip in Hawaii? I want like really nice hotel rooms and all this stuff. I want to go to the beach 3 times, etc. It would just kind of like, it would stop, right? But a large action model now compiled with chat GPT would be able to do something like actually book all that stuff for you. And then all you'd have to do is press confirm. I think it's worthwhile to pull it up actually. So let me actually do that because I do think it's important for people to see. I'm not going to like display it too much, but I think like if you just want to do your own research on it, you can kind of see what this means. And it's funny, at first I was like really skeptical because it kind of like looked a little bit childish, almost like a Game Boy back from like the 90s or something. So yeah, I'm just gonna see if I could pull that up for everybody here. But yeah, good to see this. All right. Okay, let me see if I could share my screen now. Okay. Okay, one sec. Okay, here it is.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jesse.
So this guy, Jesse, is the founder. And this is what the item looks like here. So it basically like books everything for you. So for instance, like if you wanted to get an Uber, yeah, here's booking a trip right now. So look at this.
Please confirm each option individually for further details and booking.
So it's all been planned out. I just confirm, and that's it. Could you come up with a schedule for fun things to do while I'm over there?
On it.
So as you can see, it just booked his travel, his hotel, and everything.
For your trip. In summary, you will be exploring London's iconic landmarks, visiting museums, enjoying delicious meals at local restaurants, and experiencing the vibrant atmosphere of different neighborhoods. Navigation details are also prepared.
Easy schedule for us?
Sure.
So anyways, like basically what's happening there, which is pretty wild, is he's basically saying, I want to go on a trip and, I want it to be relaxed. This is maybe my budget. I want it to be 3-star at best, or at worst. And then he like just says this, right? Then it goes and it basically does all the agency for him. It finds these hotels, it, books the travel, rents the car, and it does everything. And then all he has to do is then confirm everything, right? So this is kind of what I'm saying. Like, this is where the future is. You're going to be able to just chat and create a video, create a movie if you wanted to, you know, or because it's going to be the agent. And so we're there right now. And this is, it kind of scared me when I saw this, because like, holy, like this is going to take away so much, right? So do your own research on this. I think it's important to look at the R1. And again, it's like a large action model is really the you know, innovation behind it. So super cool. So going back to AI content generation, so you know, there's going to be a lot more things that are made, and what this is going to really do is saturate the market. That's what I'm thinking. So like, there's going to be so much crap that's going to be made, so much content everywhere, so many damn NFTs. Anybody could literally speak an NFT project into existence. So there's going to be two things that are going to make your NFT stand out. The first thing is a very strong community, people that are, you know, really kind of popular, or like celebrities, or really respectable, you know, influencers or whatever, or big IP, things that we've already, you know, loved from the beginning, you know, Spider-Man, Hulk, like Thor, big characters in the real world. Those are the two things, in my opinion, that will stand out. And it'll be much rarer to have us, you know, projects that have strong communities, but it'll be, you know, really kind of like, you know, finding a needle in a haystack kind of thing to find a strong community NFT project, because there's going to be so much more. And so that's where I say big license IP will prevail, because this is where there's going to be way fewer items, because they need the licenses to essentially, like, you know, be integrated with that NFT. You can't just like, you know, make a Spider-Man on your own without the actual approval from Marvel. You'll get sued, right? So that's where I really think like this stuff is going to become more and more popular. And then if you think about it, then factor in first appearance, you know, factor in things that are, you know, the first of their kind, that are scarce, that are popular. So man, I just think like it's really going to shift the narrative, because art is going to be easy. And that was the whole Hollywood thing that happened, where people were like, you know, scripts are now being rated by ChatGPT, and why would we, for instance, you know, hire a new actor when AI and CGI and all those things can make, you know, a living, breathing rendition of like Will Smith? You know, why not just pay a royalty to Will Smith indefinitely, even 500 years from now, because everybody knows him in the world? You know, maybe Will Smith is a bad example, but whatever, let's just say Leonardo DiCaprio, or, you know, a really respected actor like Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Daniel Day-Lewis, 500 years from now, his family's still getting royalties. I don't know, you know, maybe that's too far in advance, but you see what I'm trying to say? Like it's going to be cheap enough in the future where you don't need to hire new actors. So I think this is where like AI is really changing things. So yeah, it is like a Black Mirror episode. Somebody said that it is. AI agents will change the way we interact in life. Yes. I would never want to interact with a form of AI generated dead family member. Yeah, that's a good point, John. I mean, that was just me speculating. I mean, I don't know what the technology, you know, would do, and if that would even be accepted. But that's just me saying, like, here's the possibilities of what can happen here, you know. But you're right, man. I don't think that's necessarily like an appropriate thing. So, good call on Hughes. Just grabbed the first set. Oh, nice, sleeping. Unreal, man. Yeah, sleeping, the master of disaster right there, buddy. Drowsy F says, I just saw that episode of Black Mirror. And then, yeah, companies are using these agents, fleet deployment, inventory management, CSR, et cetera. Yeah, that's a good point, Hanana. Yeah, so lots of good points. People are pretty up to date, especially being into crypto. So this isn't new stuff for you. So yeah. All right, so let's get into the VeVeVerse, right? So this is where we're going to have this immersive world to hang out and showcase your collectibles, and, you know, have an avatar of yourself, right? So this is where some of those demos that I was never in person, but from what I saw from other people, where they're, you know, kind of walking around this really elaborate showroom, and they're kind of an avatar. So it's going to be really cool. And this is where I think scarcity is going to be an interesting thing. So here's my contention on that. Once the VeVeVerse iterations come into effect, and more people can walk around and more people can visit each other, you're going to see a lot of the same items, a lot of the same grails, a lot of the same things that people collect, because you know, that's what they've been thinking were the most popular and the most important items. But now, when you see a lot of these scarce things in the VeVeVerse, like some of these like limited posters or limited artworks that people were discussing, or these one of ones that we're seeing, you know, it's going to be maybe more of a flex, because it's going to be a lot less seen. And then on top of that, aesthetically, you know, like Dragon Girl or like those kind of things might look amazing in somebody's home, and they might go up for that value. So it's going to really shift the narrative there on what's important to collect. So maybe even accessories, right, for your avatar. You know, maybe it's going to be wearing like a Rolex watch. Like maybe Dr. Rolex is going to have like 6 Rolexes on his avatar, right? Or is it going to be cars? Can you drive a car like in the future of the VeVeVerse? I definitely think that's a long way ahead if it comes or when it comes. But again, really can shift your perspective. And I do think having a V1 version 1 of the VeVeVerse before the fall, or at least, you know, some kind of enhanced showroom with the ability to like add in at least one of your friends or something, is going to be critical for really, you know, being kind of relevant and interesting, and kind of having that metaverse play for the bull cycle. So again, I'm not trying to like rush things or anything like that, but I do think, like, you know, they did say by this year that we'd have some, or last year that we'd have something. So I'm really hoping that you know, it kind of gets out of beta testing and people are able to use it more. And from what I've seen from the beta testing, like, it looks really comprehensive. You know, I think some people like Tails did an amazing job of like designing it, and it looks pretty spectacular. So I'm just hoping that we see that come to fruition, and that people get a chance to use it. And I think it really just add to getting away from a lot of this FUD on X or Twitter, and just people being able to be, you know, surrounded by their collectibles, that people that love this stuff and that want to hang out in the VeVeVerse. So that's my contention there. I don't know if people have any kind of more comments on this. I mean, I didn't give a lot because I'm still kind of waiting to see what happens, but yeah. Mr. Rolex says, I can dig that. So he can dig the 6 watches. I think that's cool. I can confirm Dragon Girl is a home run in the VeVeVerse. Yeah, man. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the next slide here. Okay, so we're getting closer to the end. There's still a little bit to go, but basically, how do we get big money, right? And this is where I really think the like where like things can continue to get amplified, and where big money can come. Like, I'm talking like, you know, the hundreds of thousands. Like, is that possible? And if it is, you know, what is needed? So it's got to be a big IP, right? This IP has to be interoperable. It has to be able to not only go through, you know, like from what I'm understanding, like the metaverse is like the future of the internet. So the metaverse is like, there's not metaverses, it's like worlds within the metaverse. Supposedly that's what a lot of people are saying, but we have to see how it plays out. Like, maybe it's going to be like multiple internets, so to speak. I don't know. But anyways, it has to be interoperable so that this way, you know, more eyes are on it, right? So it can go from this world to that world to that world. And then every time it goes to a new world, more people see it. So more people want it, right? You know, is there a component of AI to it, right? Can you put, like, I don't know if you've heard about altered state machine, but it's pretty much what it does is it injects life into like NFTs. It gives them like kind of an AI brain, and then they're able to kind of have different functionalities, different skills, different traits. And imagine, like, for now, like, let's just say we put AI into Miles Morales that's interoperable. Okay, let's just take Miles Morales as a secret rare here. So we have Miles Morales. He's an interoperable AI avatar that literally plays games for me through the AI, and it increases his skills, and then he's gamified. So he's literally operating in a metaverse, going around doing things for me, being rented out by people, etc. That's where I really think these could be $1 million assets. But I do think that that is so much to ask, and that we're so far away from that. But I do think when somebody's like, oh, this is going to be 3-4 million for this one thing, I mean, you know, we see digital or physical collectibles get there. And I'm not saying that, you know, they won't potentially get to those numbers maybe in 50 years plus, but I do think, like, you know, the more we have access to these different features, like I've talked about, that's where I really think that this stuff will start to pop off. And the other thing I'm going to just mention here is like renting, right? Like, no one's going to really want to rent cheap items unless they have a really good utility, like lightsabers, like if you can use them and get points for it, or if you're like have a hoverboard that you can use in a game, or like, you know, ride around the VeVeVerse or whatever. But I really think renting is going to come to those very popular, scarce, important items, like where like somebody will rent something like, you know, a really high-end comic to display, or somebody will want something that can be gamified, that's really scarce or has a really unique trait. So this is where like utility and those things are really going to have to come into effect long term. And then on top of that, maybe I'm going to rent something from you because it unlocks land. It gets me to the next level. It allows me to go to like a concert or, a different place or be part of some kind of elite group. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that are going to come here, but it goes to show you like right now they're just kind of digital collectibles, which is fine. And I still think that they, will have a lot of value, but this is where I really think this can be like, exponentially amplified, where it's just like things are just getting, oh, you have interoperability, oh, you have gamification, oh, like it can do everything. That's what we need from an NFT, in my opinion. But again, so far away. Oh shoot, so I just came to this slide here. Let's blow this up. So before everybody starts to freak out, and don't freak out, because this is just my quick kind of viewpoint on some of the grails, and there's so many. And again, this is just my perspective, and I'm not saying that this is like, this can still be changed. I can be convinced of other grails, and I just kind of threw this together quickly. So don't be like, oh my god, my NFT, or you said this was god tier and now it's not. Don't freak out about that. Again, like, this is just me throwing up some stuff for more of a conversation starter. But yeah, I still think like Miles SR, limited edition, like not many of them, animated, aesthetically really nice, kind of the future of Spider-Man. I still think that's like, definitely a god tier. Walt and Mickey, partner statues seen by hundreds of millions of people. You're looking at two major FAs, Mickey and Walt Disney, in one friggin' NFT. I mean, it's part of Disney's first ever NFT week. Like, it's just crazy the amount of things there. Spider-Man SR, first Marvel NFT. Really, like, only 1,000 editions, most popular superhero in the world, in 58 countries. I'm going to throw Lambo GT 350 up there just because it's only 120 editions. And I think Johnny Dunn told me, I think it's the first ever Lambo in the real world, or one of them, or something like that. And at 120 editions, I just think like super sick and huge company. Who doesn't want a Lamborghini that's limited in the VeVeVerse, right? AF15, massive comic. That I was supposed to say SR there, AF15 SR. Because there's only 250 editions. Again, Marvel 1 SR, first comic that ever came into the world, first digital comic, first Marvel product, or first Marvel comic product. Luke's Secret Rare, huge, Star Wars thing, only a few, like 500 editions there. Todd, first ever NFT, first minted, first DC NFT, first thing on Veve. Silicon Secure, like honestly, the Silicon Secure, like when I think of Todd, that's who I think of. And I don't know, like we'll see kind of where it goes. I think DC's like put so much saturation and dilution of the market now with like all the other stuff they're doing on Candy and McFarlane, which isn't a bad thing, but and I think it's just such high edition numbers that to really see it go, parabolic, I think would be difficult just because of their 7,500 editions. And then Veve logo, I wouldn't necessarily, that's like great as a collectible, but in terms of the utility and the scarcity and what it means to Veve people, I think it's huge. And then, going into great, and again, like your great could, your god tier could be my great and vice versa. So like, don't think, again, I'm trying to, shit on anybody's grails or like what you think it is. And then there's probably a lot that I'm missing in here. And again, not to quote Veve, but like collectors at heart. So whatever you think should be your god tier, you should put that up there. But, Vader Hawk #1, Tales of Suspense 39, Jim 83, I'm just throwing some up there. Superman, Rizzo, R2, Giant Size X-Men SR, Steamboat Willie, Big Trouble Tomorrow, like some of these limited artworks that people were saying earlier. But I think there's so much choice now that it was pretty easy to distinguish this earlier, but now there's just so much that like it's really kind of pick and choose, and I could be wrong on a lot of this stuff too. So anyways, just wanted to share that, and if you disagree, that's totally great, and I'm curious to hear what you think your grails are. So put your grails in there, man. All right, and let me just answer this question here quick. Hey, bud, serious question. Do you support Sleepy Joe? And what do you think about immigration issue in Texas currently? Hey, bro, I'm not going to get political, but I think you can imagine put it this way. I think you can imagine what I believe in based on my association with crypto and things like that. But, I put it this way. I think on every side of the debate, left and right, I think there's, good points on each side. To be able to just condense someone's belief system into right or left, I think is just kind of funny. Like I think there's, you know, points on either side. And I do think a lot of times like these presidents and stuff have a lot less power than people think. You know, they're kind of like the puppets on stage, but that's just my contention. Layered versus allowing for stepping up or down from another one is a must. I agree. Appleverse, VeVeVerse, Elmonverse. Yeah. There's so much things, right? It's like hard to go, is this a metaverse? I mean, whenever I talk about VV, it's a VeVeVerse. It's like a world. A metaverse is way more elaborate and much bigger and you know, really hard to understand even for me. That is a good point to see the kinds of gains people are really looking for. We need to wait decade. Is the average person prepared for that? No. Yeah. Like if you look at like people that were buying comics back in the 1960s or even to the 50s, like the golden age or even the 30s. I mean, they had to wait around till now. They'd be like 120 years old, you know, trying to say to see the like the max ROI. So, but I think it'll happen a lot faster because of the involvement of tech. Stanley equals Marvel God tier. That's what I wanted to see. You know, so Chris disagrees with my Grail list there. He's saying that Stanley is definitely a Marvel God tier. And you know what? I think you have a good point there. Like when you start thinking about what that means, you know, the guy passed away as well. First appearance of Stanley. I mean, that's absolutely massive. So I hear you, brother. Rolex says all of the above. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, so let's get into my overall take, guys. So you know, Veve, I think they have got a great start, but they got a long way to go, and I think they really need to build that speed or get outpaced. Like I don't know if you've seen what the Futureverse is doing, you know, with the Root network and Silo and Asto and all those things, but pretty much they're building like a super elaborate metaverse infrastructure that's going to give the ability for people to like kind of build on it into this open world. And they're coming out with like Ready Player One or the Readyverse. And you know, I think they like partner with Warner Bros. And like I just think they're doing a lot of like amazing things there. So again, you know, I'm not trying to say that like Veve is not doing great, but I do think like if they don't like kind of ramp up and get a lot of this stuff out there, that they could be potentially outpaced in different areas. And then just for, you know, overall, you know, people that are looking to kind of, you know, buy more things or be interested in different NFTs, I really think like popularity plus scarcity plus utility plus historical significance, first appearance is really what you should be looking at, like a combination of those factors. And if they have all those factors, then that's amazing. And then again, if you want even more value, then you look for a low mint, a special mint, or a matching mint within that set, right? And that's really, in my opinion, how you can kind of scale your collection. And if you're really kind of looking for those things that are really valuable. And I just want to also state that like even if Veve just only stays as digital collectibles that can be used in AR and stuff, I still think it's going to be significant. Just like in the physical collectible market, you know, people collect comics and slabs that literally don't do anything but sit in plastic or glass, and they're still, you know, go for huge amounts of money. So even if it stays that way, I still think it has a big future, but I don't think it's going to be an amazing, huge, massive future. It's going to be just like a sector of the market. Nice to see some sparks in OMI, right? Like we saw again some of the OMI to NFT. We saw that like, you know, there's some kind of promises there to make the token more accessible. They didn't say exchanges, they just said promises to make it accessible, which again I think is smart communication. They need to get stuff done that's communicated, right? Like comics and showrooms, don't say it if it's not going to get done, right? I think it's just like surprise people, but like a lot of the stuff that they say, like if you're saying it's going to happen in a few weeks, you know, a month max, it needs to happen, right? If at my job I say like, hey, I'm going to get you that report in next week, and it's 2 years later and I still don't have it, like I'm going to be fired, right? And so I just think like there's a lot of, you know, and not to judge Veve because I'm sure they have 1,000 things on their plate, and you know they just survived a bear market with great vitality, and you know, kudos to them. So maybe it's just like wasn't a priority. So, but I do think like communication, just don't say it then. You know what I mean? I just think that's important. And again, best digital collectibles by a landslide. There's a lot of other competitors coming up that are, you know, creating some amazing things, but Veve's got, you know, some of the best stuff in the world, and so many historical artifacts, and they have an amazing community. Like everybody that's here tonight supporting me, you know, that's out and about. I appreciate everybody here, you know. And then Sleeping says Silver Surfer is God tier. Yes, I agree with that, man. Honestly, I think any FA comic in any rarity that has less than 600 editions is going to be extremely rare if mass adoption happens. This could take a while, but right now we have so many big comics. Yeah, it's true, because there's just so few of them, right? So I think like, you know, again, like popularity is super important, but scarcity is something to keep in mind as well. So everyone's saying Stanley should be in the God tier. So hey, man, like I said, you know, throw him up. I'll come watch your show and I'll look at your God tier list. But I agree, Stanley's a big one. Maybe I should rethink Stan. Right now we have some rare comics that have 600 editions, really crazy compared to your in real life comics and how edition runs are in the modern age. Yeah, it's true. Like if we start to think, you know, everybody's coming to the digital age and there's only 600 editions of things when there's, you know, 50,000 copies being printed in the real world, and that's considered scarce. Like then what's going to happen when they come here and there's such limited supply? Yeah, everybody's saying Stan Lee is undervalued. So that's the takeaway message here, man. If Marvel gave us a Stan Lee collectible, we need a George Lucas from Lucasfilm. That would be cool. That would be super cool. Yeah. So I think this is my last slide, and then I'll take a few comments and then give everybody some time back. And I appreciate everyone being here. But, you know, so 2024, what I really think needs to happen, you know, a working VeVeVerse product, even a basic rudimentary, something that really is just more elaborate than the current you know, showrooms that we have, you know, working MCP points. You know, I see we have bronze tickets, but like really getting those MCP points and those ranks working and you know, kind of giving, you know, a lot of fruits to your labor and all the time and dedication you put into this program and this project for the last few years. You know, OMI utility, I think more of it, like I think like, you know, burning and those kind of things are going to be important in that deflationary aspect. But hey, you know, OMI to NFT, some good momentum there. And so let's just hope that it continues. Interoperability discussions, just tell us where we stand, right? You know, is this going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is it still on the game plan? I'm not sure if they've had these conversations, but just be like, hey, like we want this to happen. We're not sure where we are right now, but like this is definitely in our game plan. You know, but I know they said in the past that these will be interoperable. So I think a lot of people still kind of holding them to their feet to the fire there. And again, capitalizing off augmented reality and Apple Vision Pro, like just, you know, kind of coming up with some narratives within Veve, like even like in terms of the marketing strategy, just being able to incorporate that a little more into their strategy, I think will really kind of garner some more interest from the community, right? More sick drops. I mean, they're great at drops, right? I mean, there's always something coming that we all want and love. And despite the FUD, you're always going to go back because you know it's going to be a moneymaker. So I'm hoping for a Wolverine 250 edition SR, similar to what we saw with Miles Morales. And I'm hoping they do a lot more stuff like that for the people that are still here. Again, burning, more crafting and opportunities like that. Like if you can burn a Spidey and a comic and have like a black suit Spidey, I think I said that earlier, you know, anything like that, right? Where like people can just get creative and then you're going to get like lost in the app doing different burns and doing different crafts and then coming up with these really cool new collectibles. And the last thing I'll leave you with here is there's just an idea I have, and I brought it up in the past, but if you were to score or buy a really like, you know, special mint, for instance, like a 1939 of any kind of Batman product, or, you know, a 19, you know, let's just say 63 or 62 or whatever for a Spider-Man product, you know, the first appearance year and stuff like that. It would be so cool if that when you bought it, there was like an animation on the app or some kind of description that said like, hey, congratulations. This was the year that Stan Lee, you know, invented Spider-Man and pioneered it. This is a very special mint. You know, congrats to you as the holder or whatever, right? I think that would just be so cool and give a lot more weight to a lot of the edition numbers that people are collecting. So yeah, so I think that's it. That's my presentation for all of you. And, you know, I appreciate you guys being here today. It was exactly how long I wanted it to be. It was just over an hour, 35 minutes. I'll hang out for a few more minutes if there's any more questions, and then I'll take off. So yeah, people are saying Silver Surfer is God tier. Corey says, you know, George Lucas, that's a genius idea, Chris. You know, Corey says, yeah, great year, 1971. Altman says, yo, it's good to have you back, man. Yo, it's good to be here, man. I miss everybody. Like I said, just busy with the kid. And you know, you know, there's a lot of personal things that happened too with my dad, and there's like some stuff that just happened at a personal level that was really kind of difficult to get through. And then I also changed jobs, and there's just a lot of things, right? And then I was doing a lot of traveling and stuff. So yeah, and I just had to prioritize, right? That is correct. I have a bunch of 71 Vaders. That's Chris. That's crazy. Wintran says a scarce and FA Wolverine would definitely be awesome. Yeah, it would really, really cool. And I just think it's like kudos to people that are still here, you know? And for anybody that's like, oh, Veve, you know, is dead or it's not working anymore. I'm like, man, there's still things in the app that are literally like 100+X from retail. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's a great thing, you know? I know there's other things that are under retail, but like, you know, pick and choose. I've been saying this from the beginning. So Chris says November 2024 is incredible. Hulk 181, FA Wolverine 50th anniversary. So my bet is we have to wait till November for that book, but hopefully not Wolverine. Yeah, that's actually a good point, Chris. Nano says, thanks for the stream, Chad. Good to have you back. Yeah, thanks for showing up, guys. It was really cool. Great to see you streaming again. Chad, picture on the wall behind you. Yeah, so that's from a place called Yellow Corner. Like, I think everybody knows, but my wife is Black, and so like I think it's just like a great empowerment piece. We got it there. It's like a special limited edition, 150. I think only 150 or something printed. I forget. Maybe it's more than that. It's been a while, but put it this way, we just got it for her. This used to be her office. Yeah, now she's on mat leave, so I'm taking over for now, and then we're gonna build another office in the house. So Steve says, peace out, keep grinding. Thanks, bro. Nice seeing you. Green Goblin says, what's up, Chris? Just missed the whole stream. I'm gonna run it back tonight. Yes, Green. Thanks for watching, bro. I appreciate it. Office setting looks great, Chad. Though I missed the basement. Wait, I missed the couch too. Yeah, this is definitely a more of a professional setting. I probably should have done this the whole time, but the only way I could get away with putting all my collectibles in the back was if I was in a place that had no visibility. That's the only place I was allowed. I was like, there's nothing in the background because I can't put this stuff in here, you know? And this is also where I work, right? So like if I'm working, you know, I can't have like a friggin', you know, comic or Batman in the background unless I work for some kind of gaming company or something like that. Crazy Dan says, good to see you streaming again. Thanks, Chad. Thank you, man. Thanks for showing up. We need a sequel at the couch. People love that couch. Hey, I got to get back on the couch. Very casual. Yeah. Do you plan on attending any live events this year? Yeah. So I'm going to hit New York. I think it's in October. I don't think it's going to be realistic for San Diego because I'm off to a Mediterranean cruise actually this summer, and I think they overlap. So I'm looking at New York Comic Con in October, and it's only, I'm in Toronto, so it's only like an 8-hour drive. So it's not too bad. Great picture, Chad. Thanks for sharing. Thanks, man. Congrats on the new kid and big life changes again. Thank you, guys. Yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. So yeah, give that one final like if you can on the stream. You know, it helps kind of get my channel back out there. And again, this has always been like a super fun hobby for me. And like I said, I just had to prioritize other things in the interim. But it'll be good to get back out there. And I'm going to try to make content like at least once a week. So if there's anybody in here that wants to do a stream or wants to come on for an interview, I think that's kind of where I'm going to focus. And then also covering a little more projects, get you guys interested in some of the other things I'm looking at. Like I said, VeVeVerse, I'm really interested in. So I'm going to try to like do a deep dive on that on one upcoming video. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I think that's it for me. An hour, 38 minutes and 17 seconds. And yeah, we had a nice stream here. I think there was like over, 60, 70 people. Maybe I think I had like 80 or 90 at one point. So, nice to be welcomed back by so many of you in the community, and really appreciate your support. And yeah, I think it was a pretty good one. I think we went through a lot of stuff. And so I'm hoping that, you learned something, or some of these things are even new to me. And I really like all the comments that came up too, like some great points. I'm glad that we like kind of took those into consideration and discussed them. So yeah, so that's it from me, everybody. I'm going to take off, and I hope you have a great 2024 and have fun collecting on Veve. And, like I said, despite some of the setbacks, I think there's a big future still. And I think there's some momentum this year, and it feels a little different. I think, especially with the energy of the bull cycle, people coming in, spending more money, that's more money to Veve. There's more people, working on stuff. So I think we're in a good place, but lots for them to do. But again, I think there's some momentum. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. And final comments here from Altman says, have a great night, bud. Girl dads rule. Enjoy. It goes by fast. It feels like it's going by fast. She's already 5 months. I'm like, what the heck, So thanks everybody. Nice seeing you. And yeah, I'll see you in another stream soon. Take care.